Good morning. Today I'm going to do the revision. Subject, food science. Topic, unit number 5, food processing. Talk about the food processing. It is a method which used to turn fresh food into food products by using various techniques such as sun drying, salting, pasteurization, canning, etc. Let's talk about the food processing in detail. So what is the objectives of food processing? Why we need to use various techniques? The main purpose is to preserve and enhance the color, nutritive value, flavor and texture of the food products, to prevent spoilage of the food and to increase the shelf life, and so that the food is available throughout the year. So these are the objectives of food processing: to increase the color, flavor, texture, appearance, to increase the shelf life of the products, to prevent the spoilage, and to make the food available throughout the year. Common pre-preparation techniques. So we follow all these following techniques, such as number 1 is cleaning of the products. Like take an example of rice or take cereals or pulses. The first thing we do is cleaning of the products. Second is sorting and grading. You're taking fruits and vegetables, you are always sorting and you're grading the products, whether it is A grade, B grade, C grade. A grade, excellent quality; B grade, good quality; C grade is okay quality. Then after that, you are peeling the product. So different kinds of peeling methods where you can uh, boil and then peel off the skin, or you have machines which helps in peeling, such as you have peeling techniques such as scalding, where you are dipping fruits and vegetables in a boiling water. Then you have abrasion peeling, which you are using machine specifically for potato peeling to peel the skin. Flame peeling, by the flame you are peeling off the skin. Then lye peeling, where you are using sodium hydroxide solution to peel the skin. So we use different kinds of peeling method. Then size reduction. So different kinds of cuts that you do, where you do cut or you chop or you do it into dices, slices, julienne, etc. Then you have marination. So different kinds of marination that you follow depending on the requirement. Then mixing and blending, again depending on the requirement. And whipping, beating and folding, that also depends on the requirement. If you're making a cake, or you're beating the egg, or you're whipping the cream, etc. Coating, depending if you're preparing a fish cutlet, you should always have a coating. So you are using breadcrumbs or egg, which are perishable products, you are coating it. Filtering, then descaling, and or you can say skinning. So these are the common pre-preparation, or you can say mise en place, that you are doing it before you start your processing method. Now talk about the next most important thing is important processing techniques. Today we are going to talk about all these processing techniques. First is high temperature, low temperature, dehydration, concentration, fermentation, irradiation and extrusion. Talk about the high temperature. Let's talk about high temperature in detail. So high temperature, we are using moist heat such as blanching. We are blanching the product so that we can increase the color of the vegetables like beans, carrots, etc. Pasteurization, we are doing a pasteurization for milk products. Like you can see pasteurization stamp on the cheese, on the milk packet, as well as pasteurization stamp on the fruit juices. The main purpose is to kill the microorganism and to increase the shelf life. You have different kinds of pasteurization here: high temperature short time, then low temperature long time, then you have ultra high temperature. Next is the sterilization. So we are doing a sterilization method where you are sterilizing. You have commercial sterilization as well as a normal sterilization method, where you are sterilizing at a temperature of 121 degrees Celsius for various fluids. Then you have canning method. Talk about the canning method. The canning method is specifically done to kill the microorganism, that is Clostridium botulinum, which is found in the canned food. Because of pinholes, springers, flippers, etc., you have this bacteria entering into the can. So you are first you are first vacuumizing the can, and then you are putting the product into the can and then sealing it completely and labeling the can. So these are the high temperature by using moist heat such as blanching, pasteurization, sterilization, and canning. Next is dry heat method. Dry heat method that we are doing is dehydration. So you have dehydration method where during summer season you can see your parents keeping mango, cutting the mango and then leaving it under sun, or sometimes you have green chilies left under the sun. So you are using various dehydration method, dehydrated fish, etc. Then you have the next method, that is smoking process, where you are smoking the products depending on the cuisine and requirement. Next is the baking. We are baking cake, etc. Roasting depending on the requirement. Then we are using hot oil for frying the various food products. Then radiant energy, where we are using microwave and radio frequency, ohmic heating and infrared heating. This is the latest techniques where we are using microwave and radio frequency, ohmic heating and infrared heating. But generally, earlier we never used to use this microwave because these infrared rays are harmful and will kill the nutrients, and so it is better to avoid and go by the slow process of cooking which we used to follow during your grandparents, etc., which is a healthy and best way for cooking. This is a shortcut method, but nowadays it's a recent technique to save the time. Next, coming to the next method is the low temperature. So we have done with the high temperature, where we have done with moist heat, dry heat, hot oil, as well as radiated energy. So now we are going to do the low temperature. Low temperature, we're going to talk about refrigeration and cold storage, freezing and frozen storage. Talk about the refrigerator and deep freezer. Generally, the food is categorized into perishable, semi-perishable, non-perishable. Perishable, which spoils within 4 hours. So these products have to be kept in the deep freezer, such as meat, fish, chicken, etc. Second is the semi-perishable. Semi-perishable products are the one which can be stored at room temperature for few days, around 10 to 15 days, like onions, potatoes, etc. Then you have non-perishable food where the shelf life is 6 months to 1 year, where you can store the products at room temperature. So these products includes your jam, jellies, where you're adding preservatives like sugar, or you can say oil, then salt, which acts as a preservative. These are the natural preservatives. Then you have the products which are dehydrated, like cereals, pulses, etc. If stored properly at room temperature, can be where you can keep it for 6 months to 1 year. So all these products, dry storage, that is non-perishable products in dry storage, even few semi-perishable products in dry storage, whereas perishable in a deep freezer, semi-perishable sometimes at room temperature, or can be kept in the refrigerator. So this is about your low temperature. So talking about the next is the dehydration. The main purpose of dehydration is to take out the moisture content from the product. So we follow the 4 methods of dehydration. First is the sun drying, where you do a natural sun drying, like you're keeping meat or fish under the sun for few days, so that you can preserve the products for about 6 months to 1 year if stored properly. Drying with the dehydrators, you are using various dehydrator drums, etc., where it includes air drying such as kiln drying, tray or cabinet drying, tunnel or continuous belt drying, puff drying, etc. Then freeze drying. So freeze drying, you're using sublimation of ice, and it helps in it helps to, what you can say, sprinkle water over it, but the moisture content of the freeze dried food can be low than 5%, can be less than 5%. Then we are using other methods also, such as electronic ohmic heating, just now as I've discussed, etc. To use the dehydrated products, like you get egg powder, egg white powder that is a dehydrated egg white powder, which can be directly used instead of buying the egg, storing it, and then using it. You can go for a dehydrated products. The next one is the concentration. Concentration will be talking about the evaporation, freeze concentration, reverse osmosis, as well as filtration. So talk about the concentration, methods of concentration. Evaporation, as you know, what is evaporation? Removal of water through water vapor by application of heat. Then you have freeze concentration, where you are freezing part of the water as ice and mechanically separating the ice by draining, pressing, centrifugation. So all the liquids and solids have different freezing point. reverse osmosis and ultrafiltration. So this is specifically used for vegetable juices concentration. So it is based on the principles of osmosis, that is movement of molecules from higher concentration to the lower concentration by using semi-permeable membrane. Then the next is fermentation. So fermentation, it is described as the breakage of carbohydrates like material, proteins, fats and other molecular structural molecular modification by microorganisms like bacteria, yeast, fungus. Sometimes use a combination like bacteria as well as fungus or bacteria, yeast and mold as a combination, which you will be learning in food safety second year in detail. So we have done with the high temperature, low temperature. High temperature as already done with moist heat, dry heat, hot oil, radiation energy. Low temperature we have done with refrigerator, deep freezer. Then we have done with dehydration, sun drying, drying with dehydrators, freeze drying are the methods. Then we have done with the concentration like evaporation, freeze concentration, reverse osmosis and filtration. Then we have done with the fermentation. So we have covered almost. We are effects of processing on the food. So effects of pigment, effects on enzyme, then effects on natural toxin, sensory attributes and shelf life. So talking about effects of pigments. So generally these pigments specifically helps in maintaining colors, such as you have natural colors like chlorophyll, which is a green color present in bitter gourd, green leafy vegetables, cucumber, etc. Then carotenoid, that is orange red, which is found in papaya, mango, carrot, capsicum, tomatoes. Then anthocyanin, which is red purple, found in cherries, beetroot, pomegranate, red cabbage, etc. So you have various colors with different pigments which are found in various food products. Then effects on enzyme. Talk about the effects on enzyme. So this enzyme helps in ripening and if not controlled over ripening of the natural food products, like I told you about in browning. So because of the natural enzyme, automatically what happens, the products like brinjal or apple, potato turns out to be brown in color. So they can bring changes in food color, texture, flavor, appearance, mouth feel, as well as nutritive values. Then effects of natural toxicants. You have various toxicants like trypsin inhibitor, which is a natural toxin found in soya beans. Then you have diaminopropionic acid, which is specifically found in kesar dal. Then you have goitrogen, which is found in cabbage and cauliflower, specifically, which is not good for the thyroid patient. So these are the various natural toxicants. Then effects on sensory attributes. So here we'll be talking about the organoleptic properties such as color, texture, flavor, appearance. The last is the shelf life of the product. Shelf life, the most important thing, whatever product that you prepare, it should have a shelf life of minimum 6 months to 1 year. If there is no shelf life, the product that you prepare cannot be used for a longer time. So with this, we have completed Unit 5 Food Processing. I hope you have enjoyed your session. Thank you.